Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and if you're struggling with typhoon boats at the front line, here's a game for you. Let's go. Alright, at the bottom here, I am playing as a saber-tooth specialist. My opponent, Dormant, is playing as a supply specialist. I think Dormant is around 2200 MMR. Alright, so with tarantulas, I always place them on the line. I just don't know how to play them in standard. I think the range is just a big limiting factor. So if I were to play them on standard, is with the intention of selling them and swapping out with either arc lights or Vulcan. But in this case, since I'm up against steel balls and I have the crawlers, I decided to put them on the line here. If I have fans, I probably will put them a little bit behind so I can have vertical fans at the front. But with crawlers, I'm not too worried about the steel ball getting locked on the tarantulas that early. My opponent started with arc-light steel balls, adding crawlers to bolster his defenses. Now here's the thing with tarantulas on the line. They can be an excellent chaff clear on the line with high explosive. Without it, they're kind of crappy, right? With high explosive, I think they're probably one of the best, if not the best, maybe second to a 8-gun Wraith in terms of chaff clear. They're better than Typhoons. They're definitely better than arc lights. So yeah, just having them on the line is fantastic. Subsidized steel ball is taken from me. I think I might want to have some steel balls in the future. Improved Wasp is another card that my opponent could potentially take. Shield Drop is also a great card. So lots of good options here. Now I am Sabertooth spec and we are on the line. So I thought maybe just having some steel balls in the later rounds, I could kind of push through. Just do a headbutt. And round 2, my opponent decided to add the improved Wasp here on the side. And I thought he was for sure going to go on this side. So I added a single squad of fans. Not that the fans can actually defeat an improved Wasp. And I've added 2 squads of crawlers on the other side, mostly to distract my opponent. This one is going to tie this pack of steel balls for quite a bit. And this arc light is actually going to walk down. So when your opponent is going aggro, just find opportunities on the shallow flank. You might be able to pull his carry units away long enough for your units to do the work. Alright, Sabertooth is doing okay into the steel balls, and I am able to get tower, but of course, improved Wasp. I have no anti-air. Alright, at round 3, I've got a few problems. Well, the first problem, pause this. The first problem was the improved Wasp, and I needed to have an answer for that. There were 2 options. You can either go Typhoon or you can go Mustangs. And improved Wasp actually kills Typhoons pretty good. Why? Because improved Wasp gives them an additional range of 20 and attack of 60%, which means they start with 70-meter range. They can take the range enhancement and bumping it up to 110. And the Typhoon... So here, I'm going to start this off again. The Typhoon, I think, is just slightly under the 110, which means the Wasp gets to fire the first shot onto the Typhoons. And if the Wasp has anti-ground, which he does have, he can actually kill the Typhoons before the Typhoon will have time to react. So a fairly good option to counter Typhoons using improved Wasp, which is weird because normally Typhoon can counter the Wasp. There is another option, which of course is to get AA on Typhoons. But in this case, I've chosen the Mustangs to deal with the Wasp problem. A level 3 Mustang, they shoot further, and later on, they can scale, I think, a little bit better than the Typhoons. I don't need any more units on the line because I already have Tarantulas. My opponent decided to take the Typhoons, adding another squad here on a shallow flank. I think that's a great option. I've added Hackers, and Hacker is just there to deal with the Tarantula and pretty much anything that's on the line. I have grown very fond of Hackers recently because of just how flexible that they can be into a headbutting situation. Hacker Shield, which is 20,000 HP, cannot be underestimated. It is not a very expensive tech, and for a 200 unit to get 20,000 shield every single round is pretty darn good. And not to mention, when you're headbutting, inevitably you're going to have no chap between your army and his, and if you can convert some of his army to yours, all the power to you. By round 4, my opponent's strategy is pretty clear. I mean, I've seen already 2 squads of Typhoon, and he's already swapping out some of his units. So I do want to make sure that I am prepared for a potential either a Typhoon carry or a Phoon-BOAT. A Typhoon carry means he's going to get homing missile as well as barrier, and then Phoon-BOAT just means he's going to get barrier and putting down boats, right? So I need a way to defend against both. Now, the first step in defending against both is to have better chaff clear than he does. So high explosive goes down on the tarantulas. There's no need to take range in this type of scenario because all of my opponent's chaff are crawlers and they will run towards me, and very rarely will my tarantulas just sit around and not shoot. Shield went down for the Typhoons, and additional Typhoon is coming down. I wanted to take shield on the hacker, and that will give me a considerable amount of tankiness. But too bad I don't have enough supply this round. Steel balls are being sold as well. I could certainly go steel balls myself, since I do have the subsidized steel ball card. But going steel balls, one concern is just that steel balls at the same level are going to be okay into Typhoons, but once the Typhoon get one level above the steel balls, you have to get energy absorption in order to properly contest against the Typhoons. And also, steel balls are just terrible into the boats. And since I already have a board with Tarantula and Hackers, I figure, you know what, let's continue to build on the Tarantula Hacker comp. And if he does go boats, all I needed was more chaff and more AA marksman. I think my chaff clear currently is superior, and for my opponent, he will have to just go through a lot of crawlers before he can even target my units. Alright, unit drop here. Marksman and Phoenix both are excellent, is a hedge against a potential bow switch. I've decided to take the Phoenix because charge shot Phoenix can be even better at AA marksman when units are on the line. But if you're playing standard, I will pick marksman with AA any day. Because we are on the line and because we have so many Typhoons, I've decided to go with the Phoenix, potentially getting into charge shot so I can pop these Typhoons faster. My opponent took the Wraith, mostly for just a really big tank, and here comes the boats. Something I've watched a lot from Woot in this particular board at turn 5. You notice there's a big gap here on the far right. So Woot usually like just put a single Typhoon, Qualler, and then boats, mobile beacon down here, and then straight across. I think this is a great opportunity if my opponent wants to try something like that. This tower is only level 2, so if he can punch through this tower before the fight here concludes, he's going to get so much value out of this. Alright, so boats are coming down, but it's just going to be on the same side to help out with the offense, rather. All right, the first boat is coming in, landing on a tarantula. The phoenixes are currently not on the right target, but it is swinging around, so getting that boat very easily. Picking off the tarantulas, getting over the wraith, and of course we're gonna get tower in just a second. Alright, so things are starting to get a little scary because my opponent's build is coming online. I was very tempted by taking barrier, so maybe get forts of my own and just put barrier down, and that's 60,000 HP every single round from the shield bubble. But at this point, it might be a little too expensive to pivot into forts. And I already have these high-level phoenixes, so I figure, you know what? Let's see what we can do with these phoenixes. Add even more hacker, now purely for the shield bubble. Mustangs are being added because one thing that can ruin my day, especially ruin these phoenixes' day, is just Mothership. Now he does not run Mothership, but he could very well add just a bunch of wasp here. Chain gun goes down, and a beautiful missile, just taking out this high-level Mustang. But the real problem for my opponent, though, is that his chaff line is super short. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 packs of crawlers. They will completely die out within the first 10 seconds, which means whatever is left will be at the mercy of these charge shot phoenixes. Now keep in mind, the charge shot phoenixes, even though they have their range reduced to just 95 meters, they still shoot behind the tarantulas, which are at 75 meters, and they have more damage output than these boats with chain gun. So the math does not favor my opponent. I think in order for him to make this work, he needs to either have air chaff or he just needs to have a lot more crawlers. And here's exactly what's happening. I want to slow this down, right? The crawlers are already dead. And here comes the charge shot phoenixes. We are popping these typhoons. 1, 2, gone. Getting into the boat. 1. 2 shot, dead boat. Dead typhoons. Moving around. Dead boat, dead typhoon. Now, of course, these typhoons, they're working their hardest onto this phoenix, but it will not save them. And this is the reason I like charge shot phoenixes over AA marksman when units are online. Alright, so a huge round, getting my opponent down to just 1 HP. Alright, what can my opponent do? Well, none of his cards is particularly good. Maybe Mustang production line on a boat, because at the very least, he will give him some additional chaff. I took intensive training because I wanted to level up my Mustangs. I think at this point, the only thing that can kill my board, well, a couple things. The first thing is a heart aggression on the far right into the tower. The second thing is air chaff in the form of wasp. They will tie up my phoenixes for quite a while. So to fix that, I've decided to get Mustangs with high levels and AA. Alright, we're going to take a temp range, temp speed. We're going to level the far right tower to level 3, just so that I have a little bit more time on this side. And also level 3 tower reduces the time of the debuff. Additional missile in case it's just going to be boats and typhoons, so it's actually going to slow them down quite a bit. And then a secondary missile here in case there's more shenanigan happening. And then for the rest of the money, we're just going to put down some missiles. Actually, no, these are my opponent's missiles, so they're trying to get rid of my stuff. I actually ran out of money. But I'm pretty happy with this board state. My opponent went with the triple tech overlords, but since there are only 4 overlords, I don't think he has enough. And he has not fixed his issue, which is chaff clear. His chaff line is still so short. Yes, he added even more chaff here, but these 4 tarantulas are just ready to eat up everything that my opponent throws at me. So I'm going to put this again in super slow mode, and you get to see just how effective these HE tarantulas are. Alright, on this side, this tarantula is... one of them is getting stuck on a shield. So once that's done, we're still going to work on the Typhoon a little bit. On the other side, there's already no chaff, and right now there's no chaff left for my opponent. The boats are actually doing a pretty decent job because of the chain gun. However, the phoenixes are closing in. Already 2 boats. No, 1 boat went down, and these 2 are not long for this world. 2 boat went down. We still have lots of chaff on the ground in the form of these mustangs, and they're now going to run over. A single boat left. Yes, he's going to get my phoenix, but I am now onto his tower. Got my phoenix, but my level 4 mustang with AA. And just like that, it's GG. So let's take a look at the board here. What could have my opponent done differently? I think not having an aggression here at, I would say, round 6 was a big mistake. I think he could have totally put something here at round 6 and just overwhelm. And that will force me to defend here. And that would not allow me to have such a solid board on the other side. So let's go to round 6 and let's just play as my opponent and see if it changes anything here. All right. Absorption module could actually be decent. And it could be decent for both the Typhoon as well as the boats. Alright, we're going to move the boats over. The steel balls, I don't think they're that useful anymore, so I'm going to get rid of the steel balls. The Wraith, they are okay, I suppose. I'm going to take speed. I'm going to take +1. And we're going to get rid of some crawlers. Maybe get rid of this one here. Alright, Charge Shot Phoenix is coming in. Alright, onto the tower. Alright, gets the tower. Now we still have to deal with the Charge Shot Phoenixes on the other side, which is painful. And he is going to get my tower. Okay. Small damage was smaller than what it was before. But now the real problem is that next round, my opponent will have to, or in this case me, will have to force to respond on this side. Right? Because I could easily just double down on the boats and just force them down this way. I mean, I know he's got a lot of defense on this side already, but I could easily force them something here. If I were my opponent, I would sell this level 3 Wraith. Maybe double down with more level 2 Typhoons. And with the boats just coming down this way. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see another game, here's one for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.